The sky above planet Varel turned red as something entered the atmosphere. It was fast, loud, and on fire. People looked up. Soldiers raised their weapons. Children screamed and ran. A strange metal object was falling from the sky. Boom! The ground shook. Dust rose. A black spaceship had crashed just outside the royal city gates. The queen stepped back. The king stood tall, eyes focused. And the three royal sisters, Zira, Lyra, and Mila, watched from the palace tower. Zira, the bold one, laughed. "Look at that junk. Is it even a real ship?" Lyra, the clever one, adjusted her visor. "It's old, very old. No royal seal. It's not from our empire." Mila, the cold one, frowned. "Let's see who dares come to our world without permission." 10 alien guards rushed to the crash site. Smoke was everywhere. A door slowly opened. Out stepped a man. Not tall, not strong-looking, dirty clothes. Cuts on his face. Human?" one guard whispered. The human raised his hands. "I come in peace." The guard surrounded him. "Silence. You are trespassing." The human said nothing more. They brought him in chains to the king's throne room. The palace was silent. Everyone stared at the human. He looked around calmly, not afraid. The king asked, "Who are you, and why are you here?" The human replied, "My name is Eli Grant. I came here by mistake. My ship lost control." The three sisters stood to the side, watching him. Zira laughed out loud. "This is a human? I thought they were stronger." Lyra smirked. "Maybe he's a worker." "Not a warrior." Mila crossed her arms. "He looks like a beggar." The court laughed, but Eli didn't say a word. He simply looked at the king. Calm, steady. The king raised an eyebrow. "You are alone, weak. You have no army, no weapons. Why should I let you live?" Eli answered, "Because I didn't come to fight. I came to survive." The king studied him. There was something in this human's eyes. Not fear. Not pride. Something else. Something hidden. "Lock him in the cell," the king ordered. "I will decide his fate tomorrow." That night, the sisters visited the prison floor out of curiosity. They walked past dark cells until they reached his. Zira banged on the bars. "Still alive, human. Don't worry, you won't be for long." Eli looked up. "Your jokes are weak." Zira frowned. "What did you say?" "You talk like warriors, but your hands are soft," Eli replied. Lyra tilted her head. "You're brave or stupid?" Eli leaned forward. "No, just honest." Mila rolled her eyes. "He thinks he's clever. He'll cry tomorrow when the guards take him away." But Eli only smiled. The sisters turned and left, angry and confused. 2 hours later, a red light blinked in the security room. "Cell breach." A guard shouted. Cameras zoomed in. Cell 17, the human cell, was empty. The steel bars were broken. "With bare hands, impossible," the guard said. "No tools, no weapons. He just broke out." Sirens rang. Soldiers searched the palace. Meanwhile, Eli moved through the shadows. Quiet. Fast. He knew exactly where to go. The palace map was fresh in his mind. He wasn't trying to escape. He was exploring. Watching. Studying. He stopped at the training yard. Alien soldiers were practicing. Eli hid in the dark, watching every move. He whispered to himself, "They're fast, but their footwork is wrong. Their balance is weak. They fight with flash, not focus." A voice behind him said, "Enjoying the view?" Eli turned fast. 2 guards with stun rifles. He raised his hands slowly, but then, faster than anyone expected, he kicked the first guard in the knee and spun the rifle away. The second guard fired, but Eli ducked and rolled. 1 punch. 2 moves, both. Guards were down. Alarms grew louder. Eli didn't run. He looked at the camera above and said, "Still think humans are weak?" The next morning, the king sat in silence. 3 guards stood before him, injured. One spoke. He escaped the cell. Knocked out 6 of us. Didn't run. He stayed inside the palace. 0 whispered, "That's not possible." Lyra said, "No. Humans should move like that." Mila frowned. "He's not normal." The king stood, "Bring him to me, but not in chains." When Eli was brought back to the throne room, he wasn't tied. He stood tall, even after a night of running. The king looked at him closely. "Eli Grant, you are not what you seem." "And I don't like mysteries," Eli replied. "Then test me." "I have nothing to hide." The king smiled. "Good, then let's begin." Heavy doors opened with a deep hum. Eli Grant walked into the grand hall again, this time without chains. Alien guards followed behind, weapons ready, but they kept their distance. Something had changed. The human they had laughed at yesterday had become something else overnight. No longer weak. No longer ignored. Now he was a mystery, the royal. Court watched in silence. Some stared with curiosity, others with fear. The king leaned forward on his golden throne. His voice was calm but sharp. "Tell me, human, who trained you? You moved like a ghost last night. You broke steel with bare hands. You beat my guards in seconds. What are you?" Alele stood tall. His clothes were still torn. Dust clung to his boots. But his eyes, they were clear and steady. "I am a soldier," he said. "But not the kind you've met before." Zira raised an eyebrow. "Earth soldiers are weak. We've seen your broadcasts. You fight like animals." Eli looked at her. "You've seen what we want you to see." Lyra stepped closer. "So, you're saying humans hide their true power?" "No," Eli replied. "I'm saying you've only seen one kind of human. I'm something else." The king tapped the arm of his throne, thinking. "Prove it." Eli didn't flinch. "How?" The king smiled. "Survive." The room shifted. Walls opened. Floors dropped. A circular platform rose from beneath the marble ground. Energy shields sparked to life around it. The audience gasped. Everyone knew this arena. It was called the first trial. "No one told me I was here for a game," Eli said. "This is no game," the king replied. "If you survive, you earn your place. If you fail, you die." Before Eli could speak again, the doors at the far end opened, and something stepped out. A creature, 4 meters tall, with black skin like armor and 6 legs like a spider. Its teeth clicked together. Its red eyes locked on Eli. The royal sisters looked down from above. Zira laughed. "Let's see if your hidden power survives that." Lyra crossed her arms. "He's fast, but not that fast." Mila said nothing, but her cold eyes stayed locked on Eli. The creature screamed and charged. Eli didn't move. Not yet. He watched, calculated, measured every step, every breath. When the beast lunged, Eli rolled under it, barely touching the ground. He grabbed a piece of broken metal from the floor, sharp like a blade. The beast turned. Fast. Eli ran straight at it, then dropped low and slid between its legs, slicing one of the joints. The audience gasped. The creature screamed again, angry. Now it jumped onto the walls, climbing high, then dropping straight down to crush him. Eli didn't dodge. He waited, then jumped sideways at the last second. The beast's own weight broke the floor. Before it could rise again, Eli leapt on its back and drove the metal deep into its head. Silence. Then the body dropped. 1 second. 2. Cheers erupted across the court. The king stood, smiling for the first time. "You said you came to survive. You just proved it." Eli dropped the metal and walked off the platform. "I told you," he said. "Humans are full of surprises." Later, in the private chambers, the sisters gathered. Zira paced back and forth. "He's dangerous." Lyra looked thoughtful. "No, he's smart." Mila stared at the screen, replaying the fight. "He's more than that. He knew exactly where to strike." He read the beast's every move. He planned it all, Lyra said softly. That was no accident. At that moment, deep beneath the palace, a hidden chamber lit up. A figure stood in the dark, watching a screen showing Eli's fight from a different angle. Alien symbols flashed on the console. The figure spoke in a low voice. He is one of them, a ghost of Earth's black units. If the king lets him live, the galaxy will never be the same. Back in the palace, Eli sat alone in his new room, staring out at the alien sky. He whispered to himself, "They think this is a test. But they don't know why I'm really here." Outside his door, two guards stood in silence. One leaned toward the other and whispered, "He's just one human. Why are we so afraid?" The other replied, "Because monsters don't scare us. But he's not a monster. He's something worse." The sun rose over the twin towers of Varel's palace, casting long shadows across the training grounds. Soldiers lined up, weapons in hand, eyes alert. But this morning was different. They weren't preparing for war. They were preparing for a test, and the test was for a human. Eli Grant stood in the center of the courtyard, alone. No armor, no special gear. Just his rough earth clothes and calm eyes. Across from him stood warriors 3 times his size. Around him, hundreds of aliens gathered to watch. The royal sisters stood above on the balcony, their expressions unreadable. The king raised his hand. Silence followed. "This is the second day of the human," he said. "Let the trials begin." The first trial was not a fight. Not yet, it was survival. They called it the Forest of Fangs. Eli was given no map. No guide, just one sentence. Make it to the other side before nightfall. A gate opened. And the human stepped into the dark woods. Trees twisted into sharp claws. Vines moved like snakes. Strange eyes glowed in the shadows. Eli walked slowly, every step careful. He didn't panic. He listened, watched, learned. A low growl echoed through the trees, then silence, then a sudden blur, an alien beast the size of a truck, with blade-like legs and 2 glowing mouths, leapt from the darkness. Eli ducked just in time. The creature slammed into a tree, splintering it in half. He didn't run. He didn't scream. He moved like water. He grabbed a sharp branch, rolled to the side, and drove it into the beast's eye. It screeched and spun, blood spraying from its wound. But Eli wasn't trying to kill it. He was studying it. He circled it, slowly, reading its movements, then found a weakness. Its second mouth opened to roar, and Eli shoved another branch deep inside. The beast collapsed. From the palace tower, Zira gripped the railing tightly. "He's still alive," she muttered. "That thing kills warriors in seconds," Lyra spoke softly. "He doesn't just fight. He thinks." Even Mila, who never showed emotion, leaned forward slightly. "He sees what others miss." Eli kept moving through the forest. Traps snapped. Thorns slashed at him. Poison gas hissed from hidden flowers. But every time he adapted. He bent leaves into masks, used stones to trigger traps from afar, and once even smeared his own blood on a tree to trick a tracker beast into following the wrong trail. Hours passed. The sun began to fall, and just when the guards thought he had failed, Eli stepped out of the trees, bloody, tired, but standing. The crowd was silent. Then came the sound of one hand clapping, the king. A moment later, the court followed. Cheers filled the air, but not everyone was cheering. In the shadows of the palace, in a chamber hidden from all, a figure with silver skin and glowing eyes watched Eli's image on a screen. "He's progressing too fast," the figure said. "He must be stopped before trial 2. Back in the palace, Eli was led to a chamber to rest. He sat on the edge of a soft bed, eyes distant. He had survived monsters, traps, poison. But his real goal hadn't even begun. He pulled a small device from inside his sleeve. Pressed one button. A silent beep answered him. A connection was made. Far across the stars, on a hidden moon, a voice answered. Eli, status? He whispered. Phase 1 complete. They still underestimate us. The voice replied, Phase 2 begins tomorrow. Stay close to the royal family, he nodded. I already am. At that same moment, Zira stood outside his door, hand raised to knock. But she didn't. Instead, she just stood there, breathing slowly, eyes confused. He's just a human, she whispered. Why can't I stop thinking about him? The palace lights dimmed as the second trial chamber came to life. Walls shifted and curved until they formed a perfect cube of glowing blue stone. The energy inside felt strange, like a silent scream that never ended. No one spoke. Even the guards looked uneasy. Eli Grant stepped forward. He didn't ask questions. He just stared into the glowing cube as if it were familiar. The king's voice echoed across the hall. This trial is different. No beasts, no blades. Just your mind. From the upper balcony, Lyra narrowed her eyes. This was her favorite trial. No muscle, no weapons, just thinking. And no one ever beat the cube, the psychic eye had destroyed. The minds of war generals, assassins, and rebel leaders. It didn't break bones. It broke thoughts. Eli walked in without fear. The doors closed behind him, outside the chamber. Silence. Inside. Chaos. Eli found himself floating in a black void. There were no walls. No floor. Just memories, but they weren't his flashes of alien wars. Screams, blood, lost. Then earth, a burning city, a crying child, a woman's voice calling his name. Eli. He closed his eyes. It was all fake. The cube was searching. Digging into his mind, trying to find pain. Trying to use it, but Eli had trained for this. Not once, not twice. 1,000 times, he whispered, You're not real. The cube responded with laughter, a voice without a mouth. And what are you hiding, soldier? Eli didn't answer. Instead, he stood still and let the memories pass through him like smoke. He wasn't there to fight the cube. He was there to beat it another way. Outside, Lyra watched the cube flicker and glitch. Something's wrong, she said. The AI had never been silent this long. Mila, standing beside her, said nothing. But she, too, noticed the strange stillness. It was like the cube was thinking. Or, struggling. Inside, Eli sat cross-legged now, eyes closed. He wasn't resisting anymore. He was controlling. The cube tried to twist his mind, but Eli twisted back. He began feeding the cube false thoughts codes. Numbers, lies, and the AI couldn't tell what was real. Stop, the AI voice said. Stop this. You started it, Eli replied. A loud crack echoed through the chamber. Outside, lights blinked. The cube dimmed, then shattered into 1,000 pieces of light and dust. Eli walked out. No sweat. No wounds. Just silence behind him. Lyra stepped forward. How did you beat it? Eli looked at her. Simple. I've seen worse things, in real life. The king clapped once. You've done what no one has. 2 trials passed, 1 remains. The court began to cheer again, but deep in a dark hall of the palace, a message was sent to all hidden agents. Target must not survive the 3rd trial. Use force if needed. That night, Eli sat in the royal library, alone, reading an old book. About alien history. Footsteps approached. Soft, careful. It was Lyra. She sat across from him. For the first time, she didn't speak as a princess. She spoke as someone curious. You confuse me, she said. That's not hard to do. Eli replied without looking up. You are too calm, too quiet. You don't act like other humans. I'm not like other humans. She leaned closer. Then what are you? Eli looked her in the eyes. Earth has many secrets. I'm just one of them. Outside the window, in the palace garden, something moved, silent shadows slipping between trees. Assassins. But Eli already knew. He stood up slowly. You should go. he told her. Why? Because this place is about to get messy. Lyra turned just as a black blade hit the wall beside her. Eli moved fast, faster than any alien guard. In seconds, 3 attackers were down. No gun, no armor, just hands and speed. Lyra stared at him wide-eyed. You knew they would come. I hoped they wouldn't, he said. But you were ready. I'm always ready. The door burst open. Guards rushed in. The assassins were already tied. The king was told what happened. He didn't look surprised. Instead, he said one word: tomorrow. The final trial was coming, and the galaxy was watching. The sky above the palace turned dark early, as if it already knew what was coming. Thick clouds moved without wind. Lightning danced across the horizon, but no thunder followed. Inside the palace, the mood was just as strange. Everyone waited. No one spoke too loudly. No one laughed. The final trial was about to begin. Eli stood alone in the royal chamber. He had no armor, no team, no tech, just the same torn clothes, the same calm eyes. The king sat on his throne, silent, his face harder than stone. The 3 royal sisters stood behind him. Zira crossed her arms, restless. Lyra bit her lip, unsure. Mila stared ahead, cold as ever. The king finally stood. You've passed 2 trials. Most never survive one. But this last trial is not about tricks or mind games. It is pure strength. Eli didn't blink. You will face my royal champion, the king said. The warrior of fire, the undefeated Tharn. Gasps echoed through the court, from behind massive steel doors. Footsteps began to shake the ground. Then Tharn entered. 10 feet tall, skin like burning stone, a single red eye. He carried a hammer that looked like it could break a mountain. Eli tilted his head slightly. He looks grumpy. Zira's lips curled into a grin. Let's see if you're still joking. When he's done with you. The trial chamber was cleared. The audience moved to high balconies. The floor was made of reinforced steel. The gate closed behind Eli and Tharn. The king raised his hand. The trial began. Tharn moved like a storm fast, loud and full of rage. His hammer came crashing down, the sound booming like a cannon. Eli barely rolled away in time. The ground cracked. Again. Tharn swung, and again Eli dodged. He didn't fight back. Not yet. He was watching, studying, reading the rhythm. Tharn roared, shaking the walls. Eli spoke calmly. You hit hard, but you aim wide. Tharn charged like a beast. Eli let him get close, then slid under him, kicking the back of Tharn's knee. The giant stumbled. The crowd leaned forward. Eli picked up a piece of broken floor tile and used it like a blade, slicing. Just under Tharn's arm, a growl. A wild swing. Eli jumped back. For 10 long minutes, the human danced with the beast. Then Tharn made a mistake. He paused. Eli struck. Not with power but precision. One hit to the throat, one to the ribs, then a kick to the leg that brought the giant to his knees. Eli climbed onto Tharn's back and held the sharp tile to his neck. Silence. Tharn stopped moving. Everyone froze. Eli could have ended it, but he didn't. Single quotes D. He stepped back. Tharn looked at him, confused. You fight well, Eli said, but you're not my enemy. He dropped the tile. The king stood slowly. His eyes burned with pride and confusion. You had him, the king said. Why show mercy? Eli looked up at him. Because strength without control is just destruction. And I didn't come here to destroy. For the first time, even Mila blinked in surprise. Tharn stood and did something no one had ever seen him do. He bowed to a human. The court was silent. Then the king raised both hands. The trials are complete. The human has passed. A wave of whispers rushed through the palace. Zira leaned toward Lyra. He beat Tharn, and then refused to finish him. Lyra whispered back, he's not just strong, he's something more. Mila said nothing. But for the first time, her fingers weren't cold. Later, in the great hall, the king called for Eli once more. He stood before the throne. "You've passed my tests. You've won my people's respect. You've even tamed my daughter's fire." Eli raised an eyebrow. "I wasn't trying to." The king smiled. "Exactly why you succeeded." The hall went quiet again as the king stepped forward. "I offer you more than thanks. I offer you a future, a place here. Not as a warrior, as royalty." Eli's face changed for the first time. Not fear, not joy, just surprise. "You want me to rule?" he asked. The king shook his head. "No, I want you to marry." The sisters froze. The king looked at them, then back at Eli. "One of my daughters. You choose." The court exploded into noise. Eli stood in the center of it all, still as stone. 3 alien sisters watched him now, not with mockery, but with interest. And maybe something more. The palace didn't sleep that night. Word spread fast through guards, servants, spies, and stars. The human had passed all 3 trials. The king had offered him marriage to one of his daughters, a human. In the royal bloodline. Not everyone was pleased. Zira punched a wall in her training room, her breath heavy. Sparks danced on her fists. "He passed because of luck," she said, trying to convince herself. "Not skill, not heart." But her voice didn't sound angry anymore. It sounded confused. Lyra sat alone in the library, replaying every move Eli made in the cube. Her logic told her he was dangerous. But something else, something she couldn't name, told her he was honest. And honest men were rare. Mila stood before the garden mirror, her reflection cold and still. Her mind refused to feel. But her heart had questions. Why did he show mercy? Why didn't he take the throne by force? And why did she care? Eli walked the halls quietly that night. No guards followed. The king had ordered freedom, but Eli knew freedom came with a price. He passed through shadows, observing faces, reading silence. Too many eyes followed him now, some with curiosity, others with hate. In a dark corridor, a whisper reached him. "They will never allow it. A human marrying royalty? It's a joke." Another voice answered. "Then we end the joke, tonight." Ele turned the corner and disappeared into the shadows. Far above, in the royal tower, the king stared out at the stars. A figure approached his advisor, eyes sharp. "Sire," he whispered, "there's movement. Some nobles are preparing to act." The king nodded. "I expected it. The old blood fears the new. They won't listen to warnings. Then let them face the storm." The advisor hesitated. "And your daughters? Do they agree with your plan?" The king didn't answer, because even he wasn't sure. The sun had not yet risen. When the attack began. It wasn't a war. It was betrayal. Noble guards turned against the crown. Explosions rocked the outer halls. Thieves in royal armor entered the palace, fast and silent. Their mission wasn't to destroy. It was to remove the human. Zira woke to alarms. Lyra was pulled from her bed by frightened maids. Mila grabbed her blade before the door even opened. Elith, already fighting. In the courtyard, 6 armed traitors surrounded him. They didn't speak. They simply attacked, but Eli moved like wind through fire. Dodging, striking, disarming without killing. A traitor raised a blade behind him, only to fall. Frozen by lightning, Zira landed beside Eli, her fists glowing. "I didn't come to protect you," she said. "I just hate bad sword work." Eli smiled. "That makes 2 of us." Moments later, Lyra arrived, holding a strange device that bent light into shields. She activated it around them. "You owe me for this," she said. "Add it to my bill," Eli replied. Mila stepped into the fight last, silent as always, moving like ice through a storm. She didn't speak, but every blade she touched shattered. When the last attacker fell, The four stood together covered in dust, blood, and strange tension. From above, the king looked down. He saw not just survival. He saw something stronger. Unity. Ours. Later, the throne room was cleaned of the broken. The king faced the crowd. Some nobles bowed. Others remained still. He didn't wait for them. He raised his voice for all to hear. The traitors have failed. The human stands, and those who fought beside him are my own blood. He turned to Eli. You did more than win 3 trials. You earned trust in a house where trust is rare. He looked at his daughters. Now the decision belongs to them. One must choose. Silence filled the air. Then Zira stepped forward. I mocked him, she said. I called him weak, but weakness doesn't win trials. It doesn't fight through betrayal. And it doesn't fight beside someone who once laughed at him. She looked at Eli. I'm not sure what this feeling is, but I want to find out. Before anyone could speak, Lyra stepped forward too. I watched him outsmart the cube. I saw how he thinks, and I want to understand him more. Then Mila walked forward, slow and quiet. She didn't speak for long. She simply looked at Eli and said, He made me feel something. That's enough. Eli stood there, stunned. 3 alien sisters, 3 warriors, and now 3 choices. The palace stood quiet, but the silence was not peace, it was waiting. From the highest towers to the lowest halls, every heart beat faster. Everyone knew what today meant. The human had survived the trials, defeated betrayal, and now stood before a decision no outsider had ever faced. Eli stood at the edge of the royal chamber. His clothes were repaired, his wounds healed, but his mind wasn't still. 3 sisters stood before him, Zira, bold and fire-hearted, Lyra, sharp and curious, and Mila, cold but quietly strong. Each had once mocked him. Each had now stepped forward. The king remained on his throne, watching with the gaze of a ruler but the heart of a father. He had given them a choice, and now Eli had one too. But Eli didn't speak yet. Outside the palace walls, ships moved in the dark, not the royal fleet. Not friendly, they bore no flags, no warnings. Only silent, cold shapes drifting closer. In a hidden chamber beneath the palace. Alarms blinked. One of the guards finally spoke. Sir, we have a situation. Unmarked ships entering orbit. At least 5. The king's advisor turned pale. Warships? Too small, but fast. Raiders, maybe. Or worse. Inside the throne room, no one knew yet, because all eyes were on Eli. He finally stepped forward. The weight of the galaxy seemed to move with him. When I came here, he said, I was broken. I didn't crash on your planet by accident. I was running. From war, from loss, from myself. He looked at the sisters one by one. You laughed at me, you hated me, you feared me. But then, you fought beside me, you trusted me, and you reminded me who I used to be. He paused. Zira stepped forward slightly, her chest rising with each breath. Lyra looked down, then back up, eyes steady. Mila said nothing, but she didn't look away. Eli took a breath. I didn't come here to fall in love. But love has a strange way of finding people when they least deserve it. Then the doors slammed open. A young guard burst in, panting. Emergency. Unmarked ships are landing near the lower city. Armed units moving toward the palace. We are under attack. The moment froze. The king stood up. His voice was calm but full of power. Prepare the defenses. But Eli was already moving. He turned to the sisters. I'll need your help. They followed without hesitation. The city below the palace was already under siege. Black armored. Troops moved through the streets like a virus. Civilians ran. Alarms screamed. But they didn't expect Eli. And they didn't expect 3 royal sisters at his side. Zira struck first, diving from a rooftop, her fists glowing like suns. She didn't need words, only impact. Lyra used the shadows, setting traps, confusing the attackers. Her mind was sharper than any weapon. Mila moved through smoke and fire like a ghost, her blade slicing with silent precision. And Eli, he moved, like he had nothing left to lose. Together, they were not 4 warriors. They were one storm dot. In less than an hour, the invaders were pushed back, captured or gone. The palace still stood. The people of Virel watched from rooftops and windows. A human, fighting for them, not as a prisoner, not as a stranger, but as a protector. As a leader. King stood before the people later that day. He raised his hand and said, "Today, a human saved our world. He is no longer an outsider. He is one of us." Then he turned to Eli, "And now I ask again, who do you choose?" The moment returned. The crowd held its breath. Eli looked at the sisters. All 3 were different. All 3 had changed, but he had already known. Deep down, from the moment one of them stepped into the fight without speaking, without doubt, when it mattered most, he stepped forward and looked into her eyes. "Mila," he said. She blinked, then nodded, and for the first time, she smiled. Not a fake smile, not a cold one, but real. The people cheered. Zira grinned and clapped, shaking her head. "About time." Lyra rolled her eyes but smiled too. Well, at least he didn't choose the loud one. The king laughed louder than anyone. "Let it be known, this is the new beginning." That night, across the galaxy, a signal was sent. Unknown, untraceable. It read, "The human has made contact." And the Empire welcomed him. Begin Phase 2. Somewhere in deep space, Earth's Black Fleet awakened. Because Eli Grant was never just a survivor, he was a scout, and the galaxy had just opened its doors.